राम 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 सर्वेभ्यः हृत्पूर्वकनमस्काराः। प्रवेशकक्ष्यायां सर्वेषां स्वागतम्। अद्य वयं तृतीयं पाठं पठामः। A very warm welcome to all of you to class 36 of Pravesha. So last class we have completed studying lesson 2 and today we will be commencing studying lesson 3. आदौ गुरुवन्दनम् उक्त्वा प्रारम्भं कुर्मः। गुरुरेव गतिर्गुरुमेव भजे गुरुणैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरो परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरु ब्रवीमि संस्कृतं वाचा ध्यायामि संस्कृतं हृदा कुर्वे सेवाञ्च कायेन वन्दे संस्कृतमातरम् यो नरः संस्कृतव्योम्निह्यालयं रमते मुदा संस्कृतिं चैव संस्कारं विन्दते नात्र संशयः। गतसप्ताहे अस्माभिः सुभाषितं पठितं द्वितीयपाठे। उद्यमेनैव सिद्ध्यन्ति कार्याणि न मनोरथैः न हि सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य प्रविशन्ति मुखे मृगाः इति। इदानीं पुनरावर्तनं कुर्मः। पुनरावर्तनं कृत्वा तदनन्तरं तृतीयं पाठं पठामः। अत्र नारायणपण्डितः सुभाषितकारः हितोपदेशे वदति कार्याणि उद्यमेन एव सिद्ध्यन्ति न मनोरथैः। यदि अस्माभिः किमपि कर्तव्यं तर्हि अस्माभिः तत्र प्रयत्नो विधेयः। केवलम् अस्माभिः तत् कार्यं साधितव्यम् इति चिन्तयामः चेत् केवलं मनोरथैः कार्याणि न सिद्ध्यन्ति। तत्र प्रयत्नो विधेयः। यथा सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य सुप्तस्य मृगराजस्य मुखे यथा मृगाः स्वयमेव न प्रविशन्ति खलु, तथा एव अस्माभिः अपि उद्यमेन एव कार्याणि सिद्ध्यन्ति इति सुभाषितकारः वदति। So we all understood the meaning in the previous class. I told you it is an example of this beautiful alankara called Arthantaranyasa. So a general statement, then you have a illustration or an example given. So the Subhashitakara Narayana Pandita from the Hitopadesha, this is extracted, this Subhashitam, he says, one cannot achieve one's goals or whatever one seeks to achieve in life just by thinking about it or merely by building castles in the air, so to say. So one has to put in efforts in the right direction. The same way in which the deer do not by themselves, deer or animals do not by themselves enter into the mouth of a sleeping lion. He has to go hunt for it, right? So we had a detailed discussion in the previous class. Tatra katha api asmabhihi pathita chaturah kakah iti. We also studied the story in the previous class. We are not going to be repeating it. Samskrita Vangmaya Parichaye Upanishadah. So the 10 Upanishads we went through. In the previous lesson, we learned that Upanishads form the concluding portion or the ending portion of the Vedas, which pertain to the Jnana Kanda and which also have many conversations, stories, etc., to give us the essence of the Vedas. They are called the Vedanta also. They give us the essence of all the huge literature we have in the form of Vedas. And we also learned that our acharyas like Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, they lay emphasis on this aspect, Vedanta aspect. And also we have great spiritual leaders like Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and others guiding us through the message of the Upanishads. So they form that essence, and the essence of the Upanishads is given to us in the Bhagavad Gita succinctly by Bhagavan Krishna. So there is this beautiful verse, right? Sarvopanishado gavaha dogdha gopalanandanaha partho vatsaha sudhihi bhokta dugdham gitamritam mahat. So the essence of the Vedas we get in the Upanishads, and the essence of all the Upanishads succinctly in about 700 verses, Bhagavan Krishna has blessed us in the Bhagavad Gita. So in this verse, all the Upanishads are compared to a cow. Sarvopanishadaha gavaha. Dogdha gopalanandanaha. Krishna is milking that cow. Partho vatsaha. And the calf is Arjuna. Sudhihi bhokta. The ones with Sudhihi. Dhi is buddhi. The ones with good intellect or good mind are enjoying this milk of the cow, which is the essence of the Upanishads. Dugdham Gita Amritam Mahat. What is the milk? It is the Gita Amrita, the nectar of Gita. So the Gita also gives us the essence of the Upanishads, which is why there is so much of emphasis on the Bhagavad Gita in our Sanatana Dharma. So we have so much of literature. The essence of Vedas and the Upanishads, the essence of Upanishads is given to us succinctly in the Bhagavad Gita. And then we also learnt this shloka, which gives us the 10 names of the principal Upanishads. Like I said, there are probably 108 or more. These are the principal we have. Ishakena katha prashna munda mandukyatittirihi aitareyancha chandogyam brahadaranyakam. Okay. Then we also learnt about the two schools of darshanas or philosophies. Darshanam, dridhatu in Sanskritam refers to something which can be seen or visualized. These darshanas help us to visualize the ultimate truth. They answer questions about the creation of this universe, about this human form, about the soul, etc. And also different darshanas have different paths they take. And these darshanas are principally classified into astikam, nastikam. Astikam we learned they pertain to those darshanas which rely on the authority of the Vedas. And also, like I said, in some contexts, it said astikam. It refers to, in some contexts, they refer to darshanas which believe in the paraloka or another world, etc. But the main difference is that astika darshanas believe in the authority of the Vedas. They rely on the authority of the Vedas. The nastika darshanas do not rely on the authority of the Vedas. Now, the astika darshanas, though they all rely on the authority of the Vedas, the paths they take, the arguments they take are very, very different. So it is a very well-developed science of philosophy with logical arguments and cogent reasons being given by each darshana to what they want to prove. And what is the pramanam? For example, in the Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa Darshana, that is the darshana dealing with interpretation of the cryptic Vedic texts. There it is Shabda Pramanam. We go by what the word says. And that is then, or what we call the literal rule, which is also what we find today in statutory interpretation. The first proof of what is intended to be said is the word itself, what you see in the plain language. So these are very sophisticated schools of philosophy. And a lot of these tools of argumentation, tools of proving used in these philosophies are very relevant for modern studies also. So there is a lot of research required in this field. And the Nastika Darshanas, of course, the three main types are Bauddha, Jaina and Charvakas. We just learned that last time. So we will just see. The Astika Darshanas are Sankhyaha, Yogaha, Nyayaha, Vaisheshikaha, Purva Mimamsa, and Uttara Mimamsa. We should know the meaning, we should memorize these darshanas. You might have questions in English or just one-line questions in Sanskrit asking you to list the Astika Darshanani. The Purva Mimamsa, like I said, it pertains to interpretation. It throws light on the Karma Marga. One very interesting aspect is, though Purva Mimamsakas, they believe in Karma Marga part of the Vedas, the interpretive tools they use to interpret a line in the Vedas, it is based on the rules of Sanskrit grammar, logic, etc. Those rules are equally relevant to interpret any other text also. So that is the beauty of this Purva Mimamsa. And then you have Uttara Mimamsa, which is Vedanta, throwing light on the Jnana Marga. So our acharyas like Adi Shankaracharya, they emphasize on Jnana Marga, that is Jnana leads to ultimate liberation. And we don't have time to discuss, and this is an ocean, like I said, by itself. So the main texts in Vedanta are Bhagavad Gita, like I said already, Brahma Sutras, and the Upanishads. So these three are the main texts which form part of Vedanta in the Jnana, leading us in the Jnana Marga. And our acharyas like Adi Shankaracharya, they have composed commentaries explaining the Brahma Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, and the Upanishads. So recently we celebrated Shankar Jayanti on Vaishaka Shukla Panchami, few days ago, which was on last Tuesday, which was also Ramanuja Jayanti. So these acharyas in Kali Yuga have led us in this path of Jnana Marga, laying emphasis on Jnana. Shankaracharya in his lifetime also defeated a lot of scholars who only advocated, Karma Marga. And some of them became his disciples, like Sureshwaracharya, who was Mandana Mishra. And it's a very wonderful debate. Those who want to know more, a wonderful debate ensues between Adi Shankara and Mandana Mishra on karma and jnana aspects. And Mandana Mishra is also a very great Mimamsakara, Purva Mimamsa. And the challenge was that whoever is defeated will take the ashrama of the other person. Meaning, if Mandana Mishra is defeated, he would become a sannyasi like Shankaracharya and become his disciple. And if Shankaracharya is defeated, the agreement was that he will get married and become a samsari from sannyasa. Mandana Mishra was defeated, and then he becomes the disciple of Shankaracharya, the first acharya after Adi Shankaracharya of the Sringeri Mutt, and he becomes Sureshwaracharya. After he takes up sannyasa, his name is Sureshwaracharya. So these are all schools of philosophy, and these leaders in each of these schools, they establish their schools by logical arguments. And even now, if you attend like Vidvat Sadas and things like that, you have each word being taken and debated, such scholarly debates in Sanskrit by great scholars. So we have to revive this great treasure of knowledge which is there in our country. But now, the Shastric way of study, which involves huge years of learning. And we should also see how, the tools used in these ancient systems of knowledge or Indian knowledge systems would be relevant for today. So there's a lot of research needed in that field also. And we already learned Uttara Mimamsa is nothing but Vedanta. Okay, so the three main schools of Nastika Darshanas, Charvakaha, Jainaha, Bauddhaha. In Jaina, we again have, in Jaina also has schools. In Bauddha, four main schools are Sautrantikaha, Madhyamikaha, Vaibhashikaha, and Yogacharaha. Okay, with that we come to Tritiyaha Pathaha. Suktihi. As usual, we begin each lesson with a wise saying. Sotsahanam nastya sadhyam naranam. Sotsahanam nastya sadhyam naranam. Sotsahanam ityukte sa utsahanam. Na asti, nasti, asadhyam naranam. Sotsahanam naranam, asadhyam nasti. Iti tatra अन्वयः भवति. पश्यामः अत्रापि श्लोकः अस्ति. So this sukti, like we have learned in other lessons, is a part of a bigger shloka. I will read it out. काष्ठादग्निर्जायते मध्यमानात् भूमिस्तोयं खन्यमाना ददाति सोत्साहानां नास्त्यसाध्यं नराणां मार्गारब्धाः सर्वयत्नाः फलन्ति. पुनः एकवारं पठामि. सर्वे सावधानतया शृण्वन्तु. काष्ठादग्निर्जायते मध्यमानात् भूमिस्तोयं खन्यमाना ददाति सोत्साहानां नास्त्यसाध्यं नराणां मार्गारब्धाः सर्वयत्नाः फलन्ति. So you see, Sotsahanam nastya sadhyam naranam is the third line of the shloka. Let us know the meaning, because it is nice to know the context of the line they have given you. Though in your Pravesha syllabus, the only thing you need to know is this one line. Madhyamanat kashthat agnihi jayate. Madhyamanat kashthat agnihi jayate. The first line. It means Madhyamanat, while rubbed together or when rubbed. Kashthat, kashtham refers to kashtha. Kashtha refers to the here the word kashtha refers to wood. So when two pieces of wood are rubbed against each other, what is produced? Agni, fire. So fire is born. Jayate is born. So fire is born when two pieces of wood, or when wood is rubbed, right? So that is how fire was produced also initially. Then Thanyamana bhumihi toyam dadati. Thanyamana bhumihi. When dug, when you dig what? Bhumi, the earth. When you dig the earth, toyam dadati. She gives, or the earth gives, water. Here, bhumihi is in Strilinga, therefore Kanyamana. Okay, so when rubbed wood gives us, or when rubbed, fire is born out of wood. Well, when dug, the earth gives us water. Then the third line, Sotsahanam naranam asadhyam nasti. Sotsahanam, for those who are enthusiastic. So for the enthusiastic people, asadhyam nasti, nothing is impossible. Asadhyam na sadhyam, that which is not possible or impossible. Nasti, for the enthusiastic people, nothing is impossible. Margarabdhaha sarvayatnaha phalanti. Margarabdhaha ityukte marge arabdhaha athava margeshu arabdhaha. That is the vigraha vakya, or the way you this margarabdhaha is a samastapadam compound word. What we call the vigraha vakya is marge arabdhaha. So the efforts, sarvayatnaha, all the efforts, marge arabdhaha, all the efforts which are commenced in the right direction, marge arabdhaha, phalanti, they bear fruit. So this is the meaning of this subhashitam. So again, you have two examples from nature being given to you, followed by a general principle for life, right? So when rubbed, the wood gives us fire. When dug, earth gives us water. Nothing is impossible for the enthusiastic. The efforts commenced in the right direction bear fruit. Okay, this is a very positive note. So very interesting subhashitam here. Sotsahanam nastya sadhyam naranam margarabdhaha sarvayatnaha phalanti. Okay, so that is where we get this line, Sotsahanam nastya sadhyam naranam from. Sotsahanam for the enthusiastic people, naranam. Actually, Sotsahanam it's an adjective. So you can just say for the enthusiastic there, no need to have people. It's there on the slide. Just sotsahanam also can mean for the enthusiastic people. But as we have naranam separately, so let us just have for the enthusiastic sotsahana, naranam, people, asadhyam, impossible, nasti. Okay, nothing is impossible for the enthusiastic ones. Next we come to bhashabhyasaha. Asmabhihi kriyapadani pathitani. Pathati, likhati, gachati, gayati, nrityati, hasati, roditi, karoti, gayati, asti, bhavati, kridati, anughrannati, agachati, hasati. So we learnt a lot of subhashitas, a lot of kriyapadani in this way. We have been introduced. Tatra kriyapadani asmabhihi latlakare pathitani. Present tense we have studied, right? And we also studied the table. Pathati, pathataha, pathanti, pathasi, pathataha, patatha, pathami, pathavah, pathamaha. Kanichana kriyapadani evam na bhavanti. Pathati, patataha iti. Udaharanartham labhate iti kriyapadam asti. Labhate means to get. Labhate iti kriyapadam api latlakare prathama purushe ekavachane asti. So labhate, this kriyapadam is also in latlakara prathama purushe ekavachana. Pathati is also latlakara prathama purushe ekavachana. So if you see these two words, pathati, it ends with ti. Labhate, it ends with te. So now we are going to be introduced to another kind of kriyapadas which do not sound similar to pathati, patatah, pathanti. They are conjugated in a different way. They are conjugated as labhate, labhete, labhante, labhase, labhethe, labhadve, labhe, labhavahe, labhamahe. So you see they are different. Whereas how do we, when we see pathati, what is the table? Pathati, patataha, pathanti, pathasi, pathataha, patatha, pathami, pathavah, pathamaha. You get the difference between the two. They sound different. Why this distinction? So in Sanskritam, we have two main types of kriyapadas. Let us see. So we all know that the root form of a kriyapadam is called a dhatu. Right? That is the root. Now, dhatavaha parasmaipadinah bhavanti athava atmanepadinah bhavanti uta ubhayapadinah bhavanti. So there are three types of roots in Sanskrit. And some are parasmaipadinah, or in ekavachanam they would be parasmaipadi, atmanepadi and ubhayapadi. Or parasmai padam, atmane padam, and ubhaya padam. Now, parasmai padam, these dhatus, they take the form of pathati, likhati, dhavati, gachati, gayati, nrityati, hasati, roditi, karoti, all these which we have learned so far, right? So they take this form. And a slightly different form, and all these on screen, whatever you see, they are all latlakara, that is present tense, prathama purusha ekavachana forms. Some dhatus, they take the form of vandate, bhashate, sevate, spardhate, nrityate, vartate, vardhate, labhate, kurute, pachate, all these, right? Yachate. So you see they're ending with te, latlakara prathama purusha ekavachana form. This is another kind of verbs. And the third form, they are called ubhayapadinaha or ubhayapadam, which means they can be either parasmaipadi or atmanepadi. So they have both forms. So karoti, kurutaha, kurvanti is also there. If you see the first example on your screen, here you have karoti. If you see, it is ending with ti, and you have kurute. So kr dhatu, the dhatu here is kr. It can take either parasmai pada pratyayas or atmane padam pratyayas. So these different forms are achieved by certain pratyayas, certain suffixes which are added to the dhatu. So pathati, that word you get by pat dhatu plus vikarana pratyaya plus akhyata pratyaya gives you pathati. So pat plus a plus ti. So the last pratyayas which you see, ti, taha, anti, si, taha, tha, mi, vaha, maha, these are different from atmanepadi pratyayas. Atmanepadam pratyayas would be te, ite, ante. Okay, so based on which pratyaya gets added to the dhatu, to the verb, we get these different forms. So kr dhatu, both pratyaya, it takes both parasmaipadam and atmanepadam pratyayas. So you can say both karoti and kurute. You can use it in both forms. That is correct. And pach dhatu, next one. Pach dhatu is to cook. Pachati or pachate. So both are correct, even for pach dhatu. It has both a parasmaipadam form and an atmanepadam form. And yachati or yachate. Both are correct. So how do we differentiate? Now, this is something which our grammarians, Panini and others have given us. And we have to stick to what rules they have given us. For example, we cannot say, I'm going to say likhate because I wish to conjugate it that way. That will not be correct. Pat dhatu, likh dhatu, we have to use only parasmai padam pratyayas. So they will only be pathati, likhati, dhavati. Atmanepadi dhatus like vandate, bhashate, labhate, sevate, spardhate, you can use only atmanepadam forms. Ubhaya padinaha, ubhaya means two in Sanskrit. They have a choice. You can either have them as parasmaipadam or atmanepadam. They take both pratyayas, both forms. One cue as to what to use is whenever a dhatu is ubhaya padam, like for example, pachati. One way we can differentiate is whenever the action is done for the sake of others, parasmaipadam, then we can use pachati. When it is done for yourself, like for example, swayam paka, cooking for oneself, then we can say pachate, atmanepadam. Similarly, karoti, when work is done for the sake of someone else, you can say karoti. For the sake of yourself, you can say kurute. Now, if you ask me, if there may be some works which you do for yourself and for the sake of others, you can use either parasmaipadam form or atmanepadam form. But this liberty we have, or this choice we have, only with reference to ubhaya padinaha. Because the root form, the grammatically we should go by the rules. So whatever the pratyayas, the dhatu takes by the rules of grammar, we need to follow that. We cannot at our whim say, I will add whichever pratyaya I want. So this you will get by practice to identify which is parasmaipadam, which is atmanepadam. But by and large, most of the common words we come across take parasmaipadam form, like we have already learnt. There are a few commonly used atmanepadam words like labhate, kurute. Labhate is to get. Vartate means to be there, is there. Vardhate, to increase. Vandate, to prostrate. Bhashate, to speak. Spardhate, to compete. Sevate, to serve. So some of these words are in atmanepadam form. Now, till now, we have learned all parasmaipadam verbs. So now we will see forms of atmanepadam verbs in this chapter. We will see some examples. But before that, all of you please memorize this table. And please start memorizing now, those who haven't. You have a week's time before the next class. To memorize 1 or 2 tables in a week is not difficult. And also to do it incrementally, step by step, will be easier rather than to sit and keep all memorization till the end. Okay, so that will not work. So once you memorize, keep revisiting and revising so that you become thorough. The exam is just a temporary goal. The larger goal is for us to master this language and you know, probably appreciate what we are learning as a part of Samskrita Vangmaya Parichaya. To go to that level, to appreciate our original texts and see for yourselves what treasure of literature and science we have in this language, right? So our basics should be strong. Pat dhatuhu parasmaipadam latlakaraha. Pathati, pathatah, pathanti, pathasi, pathathah, pathatha, pathami, pathavah, pathamah. Sarve jananti parasmaipadam. Idanim अत्र उदाहरणानि कानिचन वाक्यानि सन्ति. बालः पठति, बालौ पठतः, बालाः पठन्ति. त्वं पठसि मध्यमपुरुषे, युवां पठतः, यूयं पठथ. उत्तमपुरुषे अहं पठामि, आवां पठावः, वयं पठामः. इदानीम् आत्मनेपदिनः. आत्मनेपदं वन्द् धातुः. वन्द् इत्युक्ते namati, or another, it's another synonym for prostrating, vandate, or doing namaskaram. So vandate, vandete, vandante, vandase, vandethe, vandadhve, vande, vandavahe, vandamahe. We would have come across this word vande in many shlokas. Right? Vande means aham vande, I prostrate. So look at these endings. Vandate, vandete, vandante, vandase, vandethe, vandadhve, vande, vandavahe, vandamahe. So we have this very famous shloka, Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. There we are seeing this form, Vande. Okay. So please read this aloud, all of you. If there is time after today's class, I will make you read it aloud. Otherwise, please read it aloud on your own now. Vandate, vandete, vandante, vandase, vandethe, vandadhve, vande, vandavahe, vandamahe. So we need to practice both these forms. For example, in Parasmaipadam, let us take Pathati itself. Pathati, pathatah, pathanti, pathasi, pathathah, pathatha, pathami, pathavah, pathamah. Then let us take now Labhdhatu. Let us do for Labhate in Atmanepadam. Labhate, labhete, labhante, labhase, labhethe, labhadhve, labhe, labhavahe, labhamahe. Okay, so you can do it for other dhatus also. Let us see some examples with sentences. Balaha vandate, balau vandete, balaha vandante. Tvam vandase, yuvam vandete, yuyam vandadhve, aham vande, avam vandavahe, vayam vandamahe. The rules for using Pratham Purusha, Madhyama Purusha, Uttam Purusha are the same for Parasmaipadam and Atmanepadam. Like we saw, Balaha pathati, balau pathatah, balaha pathanti. Similarly, Balaha vandate, balau vandete, balaha vandante. Tvam vandase, tvam pathasi. Right? So that way we should be able to differentiate. The only way we can do at this stage is by memorizing both the tables thoroughly. Then look at this comparison. So we already learned this. I read it aloud to you. Pat dhatu, see how it is. You should focus on the endings. These pratyayas are what are changing. Pathati, pathatah, pathanti. Right? Here it is vandate, vandete, vandante. Next, pathasi, pathathah, pathatha in Madhyama Purusha. Here it is vandase, vandethe, vandadhve. Then here in Uttama Purusha, it is pathami, pathavah, pathamah. Here it is vande, vandavahe, vandamahe. So note this distinction and memorize the tables. Okay, so we learned this already. The rules for Parasmaipadam and Atmanepadam pertaining to the usage in Prathama Purusha, Madhyama Purusha, Uttama Purusha in a sentence are the same. Balaha pathati, balaha vandate. Aham pathami, aham vande. Okay. Next, we will see some examples. Lata kampate. Creeper, kampate can be shakes also or trembles, both are correct. The creeper shakes or trembles. Sa modate. She feels happy. Chatraha yatate. The student tries. Saha shlaghate. He praises. Chandraha shobhate. The moon looks nice or the moon shines. Both are correct. Shobhate, exactly, again, to get the exact translation is a little tricky in English. Chandraha shobhate, either the moon shines or the moon looks nice. Or contextually, it could also mean the moon is beautiful. But you're not supposed to use just beautiful here, because we are not just, describing it as an adjective. We are using the verb shobhate. So the moon shines, you can say. Vrikshaha kampante. Trees, again, kampante. This is, now note that we have come to plural, that we have come to the plural form in Prathama Purusha, which is the third person in English. Vrikshaha kampante. The trees tremble or the trees shake. Balakaha ikshante. The children watch or see. Now, pashyati, drish dhatu is pashyati, pashyatah, pashyanti. But here it is ikshate, ikshete, ikshante. When you want to use this particular verb, ikshante, watch. But pashyati, similar meaning. It means sees, that is in Parasmaipadam. So we should know it is not, the classification is not based on just the meaning. It is based on what pratyayas the dhatu takes. Whether it takes Parasmaipadam pratyayas or Atmanepadam pratyayas. Bhaktaha vandante. The devotees salute or prostrate. Dhanikaha vyathante. The rich worry. Nakshatrani prakashante. The stars shine. Tvam bhashase. You speak. Tvam sevase. You serve. So these are examples of Madhyama Purusha or second person. Tvam. Tvam pathasi. Tvam likhasi. Tvam gayasi. Tvam gachasi. Tvam vadasi. Tvam bhavasi. So this is in Parasmaipadam. Atmanepadam. Tvam bhashase. You speak. Tvam sevase. You serve. Tvam kshamase, you excuse. Tvam ikshase, you watch. Tvam uhase, you guess. Sorry, there should be a halanta here. Not all of you. I will make that change while uploading. It should be tvam. Okay, there should be a halanta there. Tvam ikshas, uhase, you guess. Yuyam, now we have come to Madhyama Purusha, Bahuvachanam form. Tvam yuvam yuyam. So yuyam spardhadve. You all compete. The reason I've put all in brackets is to differentiate from you both and you all, because in Sanskritam we have the dual number. So Dvivachanam and Bahuvachanam. Here we need to, that's the reason I've written all in brackets. You don't have to. But you should understand that in English, you is like I say, we use it for singular, plural, dual, everything. In Sanskritam, we don't say you. It's not universal. The word is not like that. Tvam, yuvam, yuyam. So yuyam refers to you all compete. Yuyam vandadhve. You all salute. Yuyam trayadhve. You all protect. Yuyam bhashadhve. You all speak. Yuyam sevadhve. You all serve. Now we come to the Madhyam, the Uttama Purusha, or the first person in English. Aham vande, I salute. Aham uhe, I guess. Aham parikshe, I examine. Aham vismaye, I am surprised. Aham yate, I try. Now we come to Uttama Purusha, the first person in English, plural forms, which we use in association with the word or with the noun vayam, we all. So vayam vandamahe, we all salute. Vayam vijayamahe, we all win. Vayam sevamahe, we all serve. Vayam ikshamahe, we all watch. Vayam trayamahe, we all protect. So I hope you got this distinction. So the homework, apart from the exercise, would be to memorize both Parasmaipadam, which I hope you already have memorized, and Atmanepadam forms, and learn the usages correctly. Please don't keep a backlog. Please do it by next week, because then we'll have more and more to memorize. Now, we learned certain numbers in the previous lessons. Now we will continue with learning some more numbers. Ekadasha, 11. Dvadasha, 12. Trayodasha, 13. Chaturdasha, 14. Panchadasha, 15. Shodasha, 16. Saptadasha, 17. Ashtadasha, 18. Navadasha, 19. Vimshatihi, 20. Ekavimshatihi, 21. Dvavimshatihi, 22. Trayovimshatihi, 23. Chaturvimshatihi, 24. Panchavimshatihi, 25. Shadvimshatihi, 26. Saptavimshatihi, 27. Ashtavimshatihi, 28. Navavimshatihi, 29. Trimshat, 30. One very interesting thing to note in Sanskrit is we always say the units place first, followed by tens, hundreds, thousands, lakhs, crores, it goes on, right? So, if you look here, Eka Vimshatihi. Vimshatihi is 20. 21 is Eka Vimshatihi. Then 22 is Dva Vimshatihi. Dve is 2. Vimshatihi is 20. Dva Vimshatihi. Then Trini, you know, is 3. Trayo Vimshatihi, 23. Chatur Vimshatihi, 24. Pancha Vimshatihi, 25. So 5 and then 20. So first units and then tens. Shadvimshatihi, 26. Sapta, 7. Vimshatihi, 27. Ashtavimshatihi, it is not Ashtavimshatihi, it is Ashtavimshatihi, 28. Navavimshatihi, 29. And Trimshat, 30. So there are certain exceptions like this, like Ashtavimshatihi, those forms we should learn. Otherwise, the same rule goes on. Now, Ekatrimshat, 31. Dvatrimshat, 32. Trayastrimshat, 33. Chatustrimshat, 34. Panchatrimshat, 35. Shattrimshat, 36. Saptatrimshat, 37. Ashtatrimshat, 38. Navatrimshat, 39. Chatvarimshat, 40. Ekachatvarimshat, 41. Dvichatvarimshat, 42. Trichatvarimshat, 43. Chatushchatvarimshat, 44. Panchachatvarimshat, 45. Shatchatvarimshat, 46. Saptachatvarimshat, 47. Ashtachatvarimshat, 48. Navachatvarimshat, 49. Panchashat, 50. Okay. Then it goes on Eka Panchashat, Dvipanchashat, Tripanchashat. Similarly. Okay. So these words we have to get familiar and learn them. We now come to Vyavaharika Shabdaha, Palya Jantavaha, domestic animals. Ajaha, he goat or ram. Aja, she goat. Gauhu or Dhenuhu, cow. Vrishabhaha, bull. Tarnakaha, calf. Mahishaha, bison. Mahishi, buffalo. Gajaha, elephant. Varahaha, pig or boar. Ashvaha, horse. Gardabhaha, Meshaha, sheep or ram. Marjaraha or Bidalaha, cat. They are synonyms. Shunakaha, dog. Shashaha, rabbit. Shunakaha, Shwanaha, Shwa. All these refer to dog. Shashaha, rabbit. Kukkutaha, rooster. Kukkuti, hen. Kadambaha, duck. Shukaha, parrot. Mushakaha, rat or mouse. Paravataha, pigeon. Chatakaha, sparrow. Okay, these again we have to memorize them, get familiar with the words. Now we come to Prahelika, right? The riddle which we see every class. We have a new riddle in each lesson. Simantini shuka shanta raja ko bhut gunottamah vidusham ka sada vandya atraivoktam na buddhyate. Once again, punah ekavaram pathami sarve shrunvantu. Simantinishu ka shanta raja ko bhut gunottamah vidusham ka sada vandya atraivoktam na buddhyate. Okay. Simantinishu shanta ka raja gunottamah ko bhut. If you split it, it will be kaha abhut. So this what you see here is called an avagraha chinha. This S-like symbol written like this. This denotes a sandhi, a rule of combining letters. So if you split this, it would be kaha plus abhut. So instead of the akara, this chinha, this symbol comes. You will learn the rules of this Purvarupa Sandhi later in your later classes. But please note, whenever you see this sign, it denotes a sandhi. And also, there is no change in the pronunciation. Ko bhut, we just ignore this while pronouncing. But while splitting the sign, it is ko plus abhut. Further, it becomes kaha plus abhut. We will learn this. You will learn this in later classes. Probably not in Pravesha, but in other levels. Raja ko bhut gunottamah. Raja gunottamah kaha abhut. Vidusham sada vandyaka. Vidusham sada vandyaka. Atra eva uktam. Atraiva uktam means atra eva uktam na buddhyate. So let us see word to word meaning. Simantinishu ka shanta. Simantini means a woman. Among the women who is very calm, composed, shanta, peaceful, tranquil-minded. Who is very calm and composed among women? Simantinishu shanta ka. Raja gunottamah kaha abhut. Which king possessed excellent qualities, or which king had guna uttamaha. Among all the, he was the best among kings, or who had the best qualities. So who was the king with excellent qualities? Okay, that is the second question. Vidusham sada vandyaka, by the learned, by scholars, who is always saluted or prostrated or worshipped. Vandya again is like, we learned the verb vandate today. So the same root here. Ka, you should know ka is a strilinga word. So that's a clue there, right? Ka, who is always saluted or revered by scholars. So the answer also must be in strilinga because it is ka. The question is in strilinga. Atra eva uktam. It is said right here, meaning in this riddle itself, you have the answer. Na buddhyate. Buddhyate is to become aware or to become conscious of something. So, though the contextual meaning is, though it is right here, the answer is right here in the riddle, it is not visible or it is not conspicuous, right? So, let us see again, those who have already studied and know the answer from the textbook will know. For others, it is interesting. Simantinishu kashanta, among the women who is very calm or tranquil-minded. Raja gunottamah kaha abhut. Which king had excellent qualities? Vidusham sada vandyaka, who is always prostrated or respected or saluted by the scholars or the learned people. The answer is in this riddle itself. Atra eva uktam. Atra, here only it is said. Na buddhyate. It is just not very evident. Right? So now we need to find clues. So how do we do it? Let us see. Seemantinishu ka shanta. The answer lies in that line itself. The answer to this question. Seemantinishu ka shanta. So if we take the first letter, C, and we take the, just a second, I will just annotate this. Yeah, C, if you take Seemantinishu ka shanta. So if you combine these two, what do you get? Sita. So that's the answer. Seemantinishu ka shanta. Who is tranquil-minded or most calm and composed among women? Sita. Right? The answer is right there. It's like it said. Atraiva tatra uttaram atraiva asti. Atraiva uktam na buddhyate. It is just not very evident or clear. It's the same logic or the same way we follow for the rest of the questions. Raja ko bhut gunottamaha. Ra-maha. So, who was the king with excellent qualities? Ramaha. Vidusham ka sadavandya. By now you will know. Vidya. So who is respected or who is saluted by all scholars always? Vidya. It is a Strilinga word. Therefore, the question is ka in Strilinga. Sada vidusham ka vandya. Who is always respected or saluted or prostrated by scholars or learned people? Vidya. Atraivoktam na buddhyate. So the answer lies right here. So now you know the answer for all the three questions. Like I said, these prahelikas are very beautiful. There is an entire course in Vyoma by Dr. Shobha Vasuki Bhagini. So please enroll for the course. It's a fun course. It's completed, but you will have all the videos and the PPTs and the material online once you sign up on Sanskrit from home. The answer is obtained by combining the first and last letter of each pada. We already learned this. Sita, Ramaha, Vidya. And the riddle is solved. Okay, so this is a very interesting riddle. Let me quickly see the questions, and then maybe if we have some time, you can go through some shlokas and read out the dhatus aloud. Santana Gopala Krishnan ji, kurute is kri dhatu. So when you're doing it for yourself, it would be kurute. For someone else, it will be karoti in the Prathama Purusha Ekavachanam. Karomi is the Uttama Purusha form. So aham karyam karomi depends on the word. If you're using aham, it should always be atmane padam form. So it can be atmane, when you're using aham, it should always be the uttama purusha form, not atmane padam. Uttama, so it should always be in uttama purusha. Aham karomi, aham gayami, aham dhavami. That depends on the subject. That does not depend on whether you're doing for oneself or for someone else. That is not the logic there. Aham, when you use aham, it should always be in uttama purusha form only. The ubhaya padam, the difference I told you was depending on who you're doing it for. For example, sahakaryam kurute. If he is doing it for someone else, he's doing the work for someone else, it will be kurute. I said the opposite. Sahakaryam karoti. When he is doing it for someone else, that would be parasmay padam. Sahakaryam kurute. When he is doing it for himself. Similarly, even cooking. You can be cooking for yourself, in which case you use the atmane padam uttama purusha form only. When you say aham, it should always be only uttama purusha form. And if you're doing it for the sake of others, it would be pachami. Aham pachami. For yourself, aham pache. That is how the distinction is. Vrikshaha, Kishori ji. Vrikshaha means trees. It is not vukshaha, it is vrikshaha. Was it shown? Was there a mistake? I will check. It is vrikshaha, not vu. Vr. Shodasha is 16, Hemaji. I don't understand your question as you've typed it out in English. You please send me an email. Jyotsnaji, Abhut means who was. Raja ko bhoot, who was. Gunottamaha. Ponnuji, Vandhya is not a verb. Vandhya is an adjective. So you cannot, it's not Atmanepadam and all that. There is no, it is not a verb. Vandhya means the one who is respected or the one who is prostrated. So it's an adjective. It is not a verb. It's not a kriyapadam. Vandate is a kriyapadam. Vandhya is a is an adjective. So it's not a kriyapadam. You won't have distinction of parasmay and atmanepadam there. Okay, how can we join the WhatsApp group? Give me 1 minute. I am going to stop sharing the screen and I will share the link once again on the chat box here. Or I can share it in the Q&A, I think you can see, but I need to copy paste the link. So just give me 1 minute. I will stop sharing the screen for a moment and I shall and one more thing I would like to request you all is that this particular WhatsApp group is for to facilitate some self-study groups among students themselves. So we have it very active and some students are, forming their own group sessions to solve the exercises, to practice shabdas and dhatus and all that. So you can join it, but it's a very voluntary thing. There is no compulsion. It was one of our volunteers, Thomas G from Canada. He started it and he's administering, and there are a few other admins also in the group. The teachers are just there on the group, but they are not active. So let me just go back and I'm going to type out the link on chat. And I'm also going to type out the link in the Q&A in response to a question. So here is the link. So all of you, whoever wishes to join, can please join this group. It's a purely voluntary thing. And also another very important announcement I would like to make is the teachers are not going to be answering questions on the group, because having 100+ participants and many more jobs, we can't be answering. So any private messages also with reference to questions may or may not be answered. So please bear that in mind. And any questions, we follow the same thing, either in class or by email. Yes. So with that, any more questions, you can send me an email. We've already reached the end of our 1 hour for the class. We will have exercise class on Saturday. Jyotsna ji, so clue to identify Parasmay Padam or Atmane Padam is again by practice. It is what pratyayas the dhatu takes. So Pat dhatu takes, for example, Pat takes only Parasmay Padam pratyayas. It's Atmane Padam pratyayas. So which is why just by going through these lessons and the examples in the form of sentences, you will get more familiar. For those who have studied Sanskrit grammar, they look at a dhatu, they will be able to tell Parasmay Padam or Atmane Padam, but that is by virtue of in-depth study and practice. At this stage, you have to just identify by the examples given to you. Like Kurute, it is ending with te, therefore it is Atmane Padam. Karoti, ending with ti, therefore it is Parasmay Padam. So that way only. Okay. So any other questions, you can send me an email. We will, as usual, conclude with Shanti Mantraha. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvebhyah dhanyavadaah. Agami Ravivasare punarmilamah. Shanivasare abhyasa kakshya prachalishyati. Dhanyavadaah. Punarmilamah. Ram Ram Ram.